Hey everybody. Um, so let's talk about um, some differences between AES and um and EMR. They're both made by Wacom, but obviously different sort of technologies. Even though they share some of the common features and parts. For instance, the pen here. The pressure assembly, which is the nose of the pen, that's the part that actually does the pressure sensing and all that. And those should be uniform between EMR and AES. As far as I'm aware, that's still the case. They made that change back in like 2012. They went from low sensors that had like two different sets. They had like a consumer set and a pro set. The pro set were down to 1 grams of pressure for initial activation, whereas the consumers were hovering around 3. But in 2012, they just decided that they're not going to have two separate lines of manufacturing for low sensors. So all the pressure is now down to the 1 gram sensor that the previously professional pens were only using. So, so look at this. Oh, dropped it. Okay. Here's a typical AES pen, right? It's got a, if you open this up, there's a battery in here, right? Let's see if I can get it out right. And it's quadruple A, and it's, the last few months, like, even if you draw heavily, the last 3 months at least. Then you got EMR. This is a toothpick that comes with my Samsung Notebook 9 Pro. But you know what? Because I don't make death grips with my fingers, this is quite comfortable for me. But the reason they can be these kind of toothpicks is because they don't have batteries, right? All it is that there's a coil in here, a magnetic coil that bounces off the signal from the panel to tell the location of the pen, right, relative to the digitizer. And then the same low sensor assembly in the tip. So that's shared. So that's why it feels the same as far as pressure sensitivity goes. But the way these T2 pens, communicate with the board is different. So this is electromagnetic resonance, right? There's a coil that gets electromagnetic energy from the board and uses that to bounce it off and communicate and tell the location. This is projective capacitive. So it's a capacitive digitizer that this breaks the field by they're emitting little electric signal when it touches down or nearby. That's why it's powered by a battery. It needs that to emit enough electric field to break that projected capacitive sort of field on the digitizer. So these type of pens, the digitizer is actually doing both touch as well as the pen, right? Whereas this is the EMR. This is the Notebook 9 Pro. Okay, I like to draw upside down because I can access the keyboard. In this case, let me flip the canvas upside down so we can properly see what's going on. Yes. Okay. In this case, there's two separate digitizers. The one that handles the pen is actually underneath the LCD, okay? And there's the same touch digitizer on top of the glass. So there's two separate. This will never confuse one with the other. So no matter how fast you switch from this to this, like this will cut out this, right? So my pen's too close, so it's not detecting touch. So you have to sort of pull away the pen enough that touch is detected. If you get it too close, it'll cancel it out. Away, and then it'll start to move again. So there's pros and cons in that. I mean, I prefer EMR if you can score an EMR device. It's better because the computer will never get confused. There's subtle differences. It's much more nuanced and quick to respond to your touch. It's a better experience, but Wacom charges a pretty penny for this type of digitizer because there's two of them. You're buying the touch digitizer and the pen digitizer, so it's together it's more costly than going with AES like this, right? And AES, one digitizer does both jobs, but it does sometimes get confused, between the two. And so sometimes you feel a slight delay recognizing if it's a pen or touch. It has to make the determination depending on like amount of electricity that it detects so there's a certain amount of electric field that my fingers are conducting on the sensor versus the pen, because the pen's actively sending out from the battery like bigger, but it takes a little time to recognize that, whereas EMR, it's one or the other. There's only one input that each digitizer senses. So pen will always detect only pen. Doesn't care about touch. Touch will only care about touch. Doesn't care about the pen. So it's always never confused. It'll always be smooth. It'll always feel good. That's the difference. But the problem with the EMR is that because it's more expensive, you're not going to really find it in many devices. I mean, okay, this Samsung when it was new, it's very similar in size. This is 15-inch, this is 14-inch. They're both like ultra portable bodies, and they both have 16 gigs of RAM and whatnot. This thing was, I think, $1,400 brand new. Right now you can get it on closeout if you look hard for $999. This is closeout price, $999 at Microsoft Store right now. This is brand new. I just got it. It's got ridiculous specs. This is actually the Costco version I just got of the Flex 514. It's got 4700U, way more powerful processor than the Samsung. That's got 8550U. This is 8-core. This is proper 8-core, whereas the Samsung is quad-core. They both have 16 gigs RAM and they both have SSDs, but this I got it for $750 brand new, and it'll go cheaper, right, as time goes by. Whereas that thing started out as $1,400, and the cheapest I ever got was $999 on closeout. So that you can't attribute that whole thing to obviously the digitizer, but you can't find Wacom EMR digitizer on anything other than like expensive stuff now. So that's the difference. So if you can be happy with the pen action of AES like this, and I make the distinction between AES and like the Surface stuff, which is MPP. I think MPP still is a notch below AES in like pen sensitivity, like the what do you call it? They don't let you map the buttons, for instance, and the activation force is higher still. So, but if you can deal with all that stuff, and obviously some of the quirks of AES will transfer to MPP as well, because they're similar situation where they're using one digitizer to handle both touch and pen. So, but if you can deal with that, if you don't draw at a Mach 5 speed, and if you can sort of be cognizant of how these things work, and you can work around it, then $600, or in this case $750, ridiculous bargain, right? You can't get a machine that's capable of doing great ZBrush or Blender or Photoshop or Clip Studio like this for that kind of price. It's just impossible if it was using, you know, Wacom. Like the cheapest right now, Wacom EMR, brand new, would be the Samsung Flex, Galaxy Flex stuff, and that's $1,400 right now, brand new. Basically, took over the Notebook 9 Pro. So, like, I can do pretty good work here. Like, if I concentrate, I can do, you know, if I don't get really bothered by, like right now, I you know, that stroke is not exactly what I drew. But, you know, it came out slightly different. You have to really tweak the pen. I mean, I don't know if most people will notice this, if it's just me, but like I drew that line not that boldly, but it came out slightly bolder than I was expecting. So if stuff like this sort of makes you slow down and bothers you or whatever, then maybe it's worth it for you to try to find that $1,400, you know, device that does exactly how you want to do it. You know, this what I draw is what I meant. There is no weirdness. There is no like trying to compensate for the pen kind of deal. Even though it's the same exact low sensor, right? But the way the digitizer recognizes the touch versus pen. Oh man, my phone's going crazy. Whenever I record video, of course it does. Let's see. So like all these strokes is a lot closer to exactly how I want to have it come out, right? The thickness, the boldness, the location, the speed of it is way easier for me to control. And you know, oh, that's a terrible ellipse. I should be ashamed of myself. Anyways, so for me, it's worth it to spend the extra. Although, you know, I really got lucky with this device. I got it for $9.99 when it was on closeout. I was, you know, using an ancient EMR device because I love EMR so much. Before I got this one, I was using the what was it, the Lenovo Helix, which is like from 2014. It was like 5th generation Core M. It's slow. It still works, but it's heavy and slow as hell. And so, like, you can see that I'm having much easier time controlling this pen. Don't look at the design. I'm just, I didn't have a plan. It's a weird looking proportioned on crack vehicle here. But what it's at least it's coming out really smoothly, and I'm not struggling to put it on the page, right? Yeah, it's like something out of the 80s. Hey, I'm old. I'm okay with it. But look how buttery smooth and silky everything comes out. And you know, if the drawing is bad, it's your fault. It's not the pen's fault. But with the AES, I have to sort of really kind of sometimes hope that everything is working optimally so that I don't have to blame the pen. The slight blaming of the pen with the AES is all I'm saying, right? So, for pure enjoyment of drawing, EMR, Just can't be beat. Better than Apple Pencil, better than any of that stuff. For my money, it's just it's the top, right? It's the best. You know, you can knock out stuff real quick and just concentrate on designing instead of. Again, there's no guarantee you're gonna design something good just because you're using EMR. Look at this thing. What the hell is this? But you know, it's you will do a much better. You have a much better experience, pen experience. Whereas AES, you can do it. You can do it. AES is not nothing. It'll work, but it's slight bit of a struggle to get my strokes to do what I intended. Maybe I should slow down when I'm drawing. You know what? Let me slow down a little bit when I draw with AES. Maybe that's the trick with AES. I'm going too fast. And I don't even remember what I drew. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm slowing. I have to slow down to get exactly the stroke quality that I intended. You know, is it because of the driver? Is it because of the pen? Is it out of batteries? I don't know, but like, you know, you can feel the difference with AES versus EMR. Look, if they sold a Ryzen 7 4700U EMR device, man, I would sell all this shit to get that one. I mean, that would be fucking amazing. But shit, I don't know. If Samsung made it, it'd still be fucking expensive. It's kind of a shame that Samsung's the only ones making EMR devices under like $3,000. And even then, it's like, you know, $1,400 starting price with like 12 gigs RAM. I mean, that's just what a dick. But you know, they're fellow Koreans. They love their money. Yeah. So that's sort of the difference between AES and EMR. Yeah, like that's a struggle. Like I can't. Like I did it in half the time with EMR. You know, I was flying, and that thing, you know, that machine is literally half the power of this machine, except that the Digitizer is like butter, silky butter. You know. I mean, look, if I was just sketching, I just take this everywhere. I don't need a desktop. I don't need a Cintiq. I don't need any of that. This is, and look how tiny this thing is. It's a toothpick, right? And I got like 7. I was paranoid because, you know, they stopped making this model, so I bought like a replacement pen from third party. Because if this goes in the silo, it fits right in the silo. That's why it's so thin, right? And I bought like 5 of them, and then it cost me maybe $70 total because it's so cheap. I think $15 a piece or something like that. And it came with like a bunch of nibs and stuff. Like, you know, it's such a great fucking experience compared to, you know, like, one thing is though, I do, because I know what the reason. The Samsung or Wacom just will not, even though, you know, they used to, will not let you have the barrel mapping on any of the Samsung EMR devices, because at that point there's no fucking reason to buy the, you know, Mobile Studio Pros. Why would you? Those are heavy, like, and like loud, and, you know, it's got the EMR pens, but, you know, like, it's not worth it for how much they charge, right? So they're trying to sort of like never give the Samsung devices all the proper drivers. So if you want to use like shortcuts and whatnot with this device, you have to buy, you know, something like this. I don't know if you can see it. The lighting is terrible, I know. There's the Express Key remote, right? And, you know, it comes with a little dongle that I have to waste the USB slot. And at least this one, the Notebook 9 Pro, is old enough that it has USB-A slot. Like the new Flex, they don't. They only have USB-C, so I'm screwed. I can't use this. So there's many reasons I'm still like I'm debating whether I should buy a spare one from Microsoft for the $1,000 just to have a spare, because this thing is, to me, like ideal sketching device. You know, it just you can't compare with like anything else. But then again, this thing for $750 is crazy bargain, right? This thing for $750, it'll work. It'll work, and you know, you can do some decent work if you slow down, and you know the horsepower to do like video editing and stuff, you know, is amazing. $750, you know, bargain. It's just that if you're used to EMR, you can't compare. But then again, if you're, you know, if you never use this extensively, you know, then maybe, you know, not knowing it's good enough. It's you know, ignorance is bliss. But I know, I have the knowledge. I know this feels so fucking good. It's hard for me to abandon this and go to AES, you know. Given the choice, if there's a fire, I'm taking the Samsung with me. I'm gonna let the Lenovo burn. Since there's no fire, I have both for now, because I need a sort of a powerhouse laptop to do, you know, those things that require the power. But sketching, I jump on my Samsung. Okay, so I babbled on long enough. Oh, one more thing I'm going to show you is the diagonal jitter thing, right? So did I talk about that earlier? I don't know. Okay, so if you go fast enough, the lines are very straight in AES, right? But if you go slow, I'm not trying to make that wiggle like that. That's what it does. It's the wobble. It's the grid of this touch digitizer is fairly coarse. So it's jumping from one grid point, because you know it's got to be overlapping. So it's not like Apple Pencil and Apple Digitizer for iPads. They're so expensive, and the reason is their grids are really dense. They're really fine, so you'll get less of that. EMR EMR is using lots of advantages of the magnetic resonance, which has a really wide range, to sort of interpolate. Even though the physical grid is not that high, it's doing a lot of interpolation. So if you go slow with the EMR, there's way less wobble than AES. AES, you can see it wobbling. So even if you go really slow, it'll be much more straighter than if you go really slow. I don't know if you can notice the difference. So if you tend to draw really slowly, that's another advantage of EMR. But you know, speeding up your sketch, speeding up your strokes is a good idea. I mean, these fast strokes are not unreasonably fast, and the difference between straightness is huge. So please keep that in mind. I think it's better for you overall to learn to speed up your strokes. So that's another thing we should remember. Okay, so hopefully that helped out. Didn't get too wordy. Let's see, how long did that video take? 24-minute video. Okay, let's cut it short. That's too long. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.